Okay, let's begin. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In the name of God, the most gracious, the most merciful. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Peace be with you and the blessings of God. Welcome to A-Level Maths live lesson. Today is carrying on from yesterday, looking at the difference of two squares as a way of factorizing. Just to really extend from yesterday, so if we start with a couple of basic ones that hopefully you can do without problem. If you can just do these as a way of warming up, and then I can show you something that's just a little bit harder. So just gonna write 3 questions for you here. First one is factorize x squared minus 9. Then 4y squared minus 25, factorize that. 16d squared minus 196y squared. And they're just practice from yesterday. You're just factorizing them into 2 brackets. Should be quite easy if you were in yesterday's lesson. Then give you a minute to do that, and as soon as you're ready, just write your answers in the chat window and I can then take you on to the next level. Okay, just a few more seconds. Hopefully you've got at least a couple of the answers there. Okay, hopefully you got at least one of those right. First one was quite simple. The other ones look a bit harder, but it's the same technique. So just check your own answers. Okay, well done, Aisha. Very fast, mashallah. So it looks like at least looks like you're ready for the next level, and just in case this was a little bit rusty, just to remind you, what you're trying to do is imagine that you've got a square, take away a smaller square, and you're trying to think what would the sides of the square be. This first square is x squared in area, so each side is obviously x, because when you square it times it by itself. That's what makes it the square. 9, you have to think of your square number. So if the area of the square is 9, then each side must be 3. So that 3 squared makes the 9. So now you're imagining the 2 squares and you know how wide each square is. Then to get the same answer but using a slightly different method, we can take away the 2 sides, x take away 3, and then we can times that by adding the 2 sides, x plus 3, and we'll get the what's called the difference of 2 squares, so the area in between the 2 squares. But it's just a way of factorizing when you've got only 2 terms, x squared the first term, 9 the second term, and there's no real common factor that you can take out of both of them, but using this method we can still get the brackets, and that's called factorizing using the difference of 2 squares. So how do we just develop that a little bit more? Today, what I want to show you is that you can use this technique even if you don't have a square number involved. So x squared is a square number because x squared makes a square number. 9 is a square number, so it's quite easy to picture that the inside of the brackets is going to be 3, because 9, to get a square of 9, well, that would have been 3 times 3. But if we don't have a square number here, we can still use the technique. So let's show you what I mean. So if I had something like x squared take away 15, for example, or let's go with a nice easy one to write, x squared take away 7. So now 7 is not a square number. You can't really think of the square root of 7 as a nice easy number like we did before. But that's fine, because we can just write square root 7. We don't actually have to write the exact answer. So same as before, you can imagine you've got your 2 squares. Imagine how wide the first square would be. It would be x wide. And then the second one has to have an area of 7. So how wide would it be? Well, it would be the square root of 7 wide. And then we would take those 2 sides and we would add them, and we would take them away, and that's how you factorize x squared minus 7. You can check your answer by multiplying out the brackets. So we've got x times x, that makes the x squared. You've got x times root 7, so x times x makes x squared. X times root 7 would be root 7x. Then we've got the minus root 7 times x. That's root 7x with a minus. And then you've got minus root 7 times root 7. Well, 7 root of anything times the root of anything, that's just the number you're trying to make, so that would be 7. And it would be a minus because a minus and a plus makes a minus. In the middle you'll notice they're exactly the same, but the signs are different, so when you add a number and then take it away, you're just going to get nothing, so we can take that away. So you're just left with x squared minus 7, which is exactly what we had to begin with. Okay, see if you can do 2, a very easy one, and then a slightly harder one. So y squared take away 10, 3y squared take away 12. See if you can factorize both of them using the difference of two squares, and I'll take answers in a minute, inshallah, if God wills. Just a few more seconds to have a go at those two. Okay, hopefully you've had an attempt and you've seen that y squared, the sides of that square would be y times y, and we can just put y at the beginning of each bracket. And then you're looking at the 10, and hopefully you've noticed it's not a square number, so this time you just have to use root 10 as the sides of the square. And then in the first bracket and in the second bracket, you just have to add the two sides and subtract the two sides. It doesn't really matter which one you put a plus in, which one you put a minus in. Okay, the next one, similar technique. You've got y squared, but the 3 is not a square number. So what are you going to do? Let's see if you can just think about that. And if you've got an answer, be brave and just type it into the chat window. Very good, mashallah. So here the 3 is not a square number, so we'll use the same technique with the 10. We'll just write root 3. And we don't have to write root y, we can just write y because y times y would make the y squared. So both would have root 3 times y. And then the 12, we'd have to write root 12. When you do surds in a few lessons time, you'll be able to write root 12 in a different way, but here root 12 is fine for now. And then in one bracket add them, in the other bracket take them away. Okay, looks like you're pretty good to have a go at some of the practice questions, so I'm just going to put a couple on the screen, and you can just pick one easy one and one hard one to have a go at. You're factorizing using the difference of two squares. Pick any two you like, and when you're ready, please type in your answers into the chat window. When I say pick any two, pick one easy one and one hard one. So do challenge yourself on at least the second one. Hopefully you've done at least one easy one, and then just pick another one, a hard one to challenge yourself. Okay, first answer from Aisha is fantastic. Mashallah, 5x in both brackets from the 25x squared, 7z from the 49z, followed by a plus and minus. Well done to you, Aisha. Thank you, mashallah. Now pick a hard one. If that was your hard one, fine. Pick an easy one. But if that was your warm-up, then have a go at a hard one. There is one there. It's a bit tricky. Good effort, mashallah. Just in case you've picked an easier one, I'll just give you the answer to this one here. When you're looking at it, you'll probably have the answer before I write it. You'll have the answer in your head, inshallah, if God wills. So that one, hopefully nice and easy. Leaving just the other two. And I'll just give you another minute. If you're trying that hard one in this top right corner, what you have to notice here is that unlike the other three, here you've got a common factor. So the C is in common. So it's best, before you start using the technique of difference of two squares, just bring that C, which is a common factor, out of both of those terms. If you can bring that common factor to the front, and then what's left you can apply your technique on. So just have another go at that first one. I'll write the answer to the other one in this corner here. Okay, there's your answer for H for you to check. And what I was saying about D is you've got a common factor, so before you start putting it into double brackets, just think, what would it look like if you took the C as a common factor? Good. And then you can apply your technique. So you've got C as a common factor. If I bring that to the front, then the first term in the brackets would just become a squared, and that's take away 16b squared. And then you want to apply your technique as Aisha's done, and you've got your C at the beginning, and then a take away 4b, a plus 4b as your difference of two squares. Brackets. If you got that, well done. You're a very, very good level in this in this topic. And tomorrow we'll do some more algebra, but this time a lot different. It'll be algebraic fractions. You can look forward to that, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Peace be with you and the blessings of God.